Alrighty, friends, new segment. We have city battles. We've come up with this as our special guest has lived in both cities, but what we want to do is figure out which of the two cities are better. And on today's version, we have Sydney versus Melbourne. This is one you see in the zeitgeist everywhere. You see everyone talk about one over the other. And today we'll figure out which one is which. So we've got a couple categories and we'll go through each of them. We'll determine which city is one, and then at the end, we'll be able to determine which city is best. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yep.
Alrighty, first category we have is food. I think both cities, to be fair, are known for good food.
That is true.
I would say we've got Surrey Hills here.
Yeah, but it's Melbourne.
Really?
Yeah. Melbourne food, I think there are just way more options and it's constantly changing. Like the new restaurants popping up, old
restaurants not making enough money. They got to go out of business, mate. That's what I'm hearing.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but is it? I'm personally okay if a struggling family restaurant closes because if the food's not good, the food's not good. I think in Sydney, restaurants get away with if they have a good view or it doesn't have to be good because people will come there to take the Instagram photo of the Harbour Bridge or whatever.
Okay, so wait, what are we comparing? Are we comparing top of the line versus top of the line? Because I want to compare
the common man's food.
Average Joe's.
Yeah, give me a budget because top of the line, I think Sydney or they're both really good, but that's not your everyday. Are we talking your $15, $20 dinner? Are we talking your $40 dinner?
I think your $20 to $40. That's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, I still think Melbourne because $20 to $40 these days in Sydney, it's almost like you're local. Like you're not going into the city nowadays for much other than Haymarket or Chinatown.
Both class places to go, I must say.
It's fine, but in Melbourne, full range. The whole CBD, every other shop, you'll be able to get a meal for between 20 and $40 and a good meal. Real solid. You actually, I think if you spend $40 in Melbourne on food, you'll be incredibly satisfied, very full.
I can go to Jimmy's Falafel here. That's probably under $40.
Yeah, so you're naming one, like Jimmy's. Yeah.
You're naming zero.
I'll throw out some names if you want, but I need some, I'm not sponsored or anything. So
fair play.
Yeah.
No, give us, okay. And you take all cuisines, literally Melbourne, better Thai, better Chinese, better Italian.
Yeah, the only one that maybe it's just I haven't gone to the right places because I've only been there for half a year. The only thing is Lebanese, Turkish. For some reason, I haven't found it in. And I think the only reason I can think is because the Greek food there is so good and the food's kind of similar. So
you've offended a lot of Lebanese.
I've offended a lot of Lebanese
listeners right now.
Yeah. But I think because there's so much Greek food, good Greek food, there's probably not the huge Lebanese food.
What's the Cabramatta equivalent in Melbourne? Is there one?
I guess Cabramatta, Eastwood kind of equivalent you're talking?
Nothing.
No, Glen Waverley, which is a suburb. But I don't even think that you need to worry about the suburbs for a cheap meal.
See, that I feel immediately is a massive red flag to me. You're saying that you're getting for example, right?
Yeah.
Different areas of Sydney. Cabramatta, brilliant Vietnamese food.
Yeah.
Right? If you want Lebanese food, you go out to Granville, your Auburn's, that sort of thing. Right? You're telling me that authentic quality is found in the city in Melbourne.
City or surrounds. Carlton, Fitzroy, South Yarra. There are heaps of options. But
is this all modern versions?
Can be, but not necessarily. I think
I want authentic.
I think in Melbourne City, you'll get a $15 noodle, cheap, authentic kind of place. And literally next door will be a $50 Asian fusion place. And they'll both live in harmony and they'll both have lines out the door because they're both great. I'm going to die on this hill.
Okay.
I'm that confident.
I'll say this. When I went to Melbourne recently to visit you, actually.
Yeah.
I was taken by a Melbourne local to lunch.
Yeah.
Right?
As in not me.
Not you.
Yeah. I was going to say.
My colleague.
I don't think I took you to lunch, but yeah.
And there were a lot of lines at all the restaurants.
Which some people get thrown off by. I think it's a great sign.
Yes. The food was good. Granted, but I'm just saying, why is there lines? I'd love just to walk into a restaurant without anything.
That's why you need the Cabramattas of the world. There's about 20 Vietnamese restaurants. You just pick one and you're good to go.
Okay, but I'm honestly happy saying Melbourne has better food. I'm happy with that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1-0 Melbourne.
Fair enough. Next one we have is Nightlife.
See, I am not a huge I'm not going out clubbing, so I'm talking bars mainly as opposed to clubs because I don't go clubbing in Sydney. I don't go clubbing in Melbourne, although I know a lot of people that do. And they would say just on the hours alone,
Melbourne's a clear winner.
Yeah.
In nightclubs, no doubt, because they're just open all the time.
Yeah.
Compared to Sydney.
What's that nightclub that opens like 24 hours?
Revs.
Is that Revs?
Yeah. There's good video of Revs at like 8 a.m. on like a random day, and it's just you can't tell.
Really?
If you saw that video, you'd be like, well, this could be like it's a crappy kind of dirty club, but you could be like, this is midnight. You wouldn't be able to.
Well, it's like the casino. They black out everything. No clocks, no nothing. Can't tell the time.
I think this is obviously, like Manny, you and I have spent, months on tier lists of Sydney clubs, and we were struggling to find anything good to say about the clubs. Even the bars, they're not that good.
Yeah.
They're not that creative.
The only thing that I think Sydney has going for it in terms of bars is rooftop bars. Like there are some in Melbourne. The problem is the ones in the city, like what are you looking at? You're looking straight at other buildings.
The Yarra River, mate.
Yeah. They're not great.
That's true.
There are a couple like decent ones, but like I think Sydney's rooftop bars, clear.
Like what? Your Babylons, your Bar Hombres.
Bar Hombre, Babylon,
Taylor's.
Harper, Rooftop. There's probably a few more that are not coming to me, but they clear because they're just like this open space. So the whole point of a rooftop is you can see out, it's nice weather and all that. Not in Melbourne.
The Melbourne skyline is trash. So you have a look at it and you're right, the weather.
It's not the best.
Yeah, so we're sitting there and you're in the bar. It's less vibes. But in terms of just like, I think there's more creative bars in Melbourne.
Way more creative.
Like I went to this sick I forgot what it's called. It's like sick Japanese inspired bar.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting there like, dude, they've like put so much thought and effort into the decor and just like the overall like atmosphere. Bravo.
Yeah. So there's a few bars. I'll shout out to one, even though I'm not getting paid for this. It's called Birdie. BYRDI. Birdie. It got described to me by someone, a bartender, as the fine dining of cocktails. It is $33 for a cocktail.
That is a red flag.
But it is like the craziest cocktails you ever see. And not gimmicky crazy. Like, you go to a bar here and there'll be like fairy floss and like that smoke and the bubble and all that crap. None of that. Just like we use like Kakadu plum, like native ingredients. This is a chef making these cocktails.
Yeah.
It's the best one I had. It's called a Monte Carlo, like the biscuit. And it was like, you have this ice cube and it's like, you have to lick the ice cube before you drink the drink.
That sounds like a massive gimmick.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't because it's $33.
Yeah, exactly. Cost so much.
Copium, bro. That's what this is.
But I
think what's it? You lick the ice cube and then what do? You
drink it and like it's meant to like the cold and then there's a powder. Sorry, there's a powder on the ice cube. You're licking that powder.
Right.
And then you drink it. It's meant to mix. It's unbelievable.
In 33 smacks?
Look, 33 smacks for a drink is a lot, but you're not drinking 6 there. You're going there for 1 and you're sitting there for an hour. Like that's the vibe. They give you a little grape as your palate cleanser, like a single grape. Dude, this is... On this little like...
That's so pretentious, no?
I'm all for that. Yeah. So but I think the consensus, I think even a lot of Sydney people, like when they go to Melbourne, they'll go out. And I think lockout laws like ruined cities.
100%.
Which like... I'm not I'm not going out all the time or anything, but I can still see, like when I'm in Melbourne, I'll just randomly be out till 3 or 4 in the morning. And it's just because things are open and people are out.
And it's the thing, it's like everything is open, not even just bars and clubs. When I was in Melbourne, the fucking Krispy Kreme closed at 2.
Yeah.
Like why does it need to close at 2? But it's closing at 2.
Yeah, that's
just the vibe of like everywhere.
And like here, if you're thinking, let's say it's even like midnight, 1 a.m., you've been out in Sydney, you want a drunk like feed, kebab, pretty much it. Maybe Macca's, like if you can find it.
Or you really need to know the places that are
There's
open.
There's very few. Whereas in Melbourne, going to like, just literally walk down the street, pick one of 6 proper restaurants. Like it depends if you want that. Point is the options there because the Macca's and kebabs are there.
Obviously, it's a given.
But it's like, I want, I don't know, Chinese food. Take one of 5 options. They're all open.
At 1 a.m. they're open.
Everything's open.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clear.
Yeah, that's clear. There's
2-0.
no question. Yeah, 2-0.
Right, 2-0. Hopefully Sydney gets this next one, but I don't think they will. Culture. Now, when we say culture, are we talking about people? Are we talking about arts and culture? Are we talking about, what other culture could we be talking about? Society and culture, S&C?
I think we're talking like arts, music, like, I don't know, that kind of nondescript culture. I don't know how to describe
the arts is sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think, again, despite me living in Sydney for the vast majority of my life.
But are you in a honeymoon period, mate?
I could be.
Your eyes are just, you've got rose-tinted glasses on at the moment.
I could be. And the thing is, culture, it's hard because I'm not. That's not.
You're not a culture man.
Guy.
But I think the vibe is there is more things in that kind of space that happen in Melbourne. Art galleries. Like what's that one everyone goes to? Loom or something? Or you pay like $70, but people come to Melbourne. Loom with an M, not the
Van Gogh?
Yeah, because they got the Van Gogh exhibition, man. That's all they have.
Yeah.
Van Gogh merchants.
I went to the New South Wales Art Gallery recently.
The big one.
The big one.
Yeah.
And that was a free experience.
Yeah.
Delightful. And then outside there was a guy preaching on a soapbox. Not preaching. He was talking about dinosaurs and whether they existed or not. And
that's class debate.
Yeah. I was getting a public forum, right? Outside an art gallery. And I sat there and listened to this guy spiel about how the Tyrannosaurus Rex was a conspiracy from NASA. So let's not forget these battlers.
Yeah, what else do we have? MCA.
Yeah, beautiful.
White Rabbit Gallery.
But look, I'm grasping at straws.
So
yeah,
why?
I think, there are more I feel like when cultural things like art exhibitions come, they always seem to go to Melbourne first.
Sculptures by the Sea. Where's your Sculptures by the Sea?
First, where's your sea?
No sea.
And then where's your Sculptures by the Sea, man? Vivid Sydney. That's arts and culture.
That's massive draw.
That is a big draw.
You tell me last year people come from all sorts of places just to see Vivid Sydney.
Yeah, that is true.
2016, everyone had the profile picture of those lights.
Oh, yeah.
The arches, the arches.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, the problem is I'm not in the culture to know.
But I still think that
the consensus is Melbourne.
Is
and for people who are in that, people come to Melbourne for those kinds of things,
correct.
right? But I don't think people come to Sydney for that. And if we're talking art galleries, objectively, the NGV is the best art gallery in Australia.
It's very good.
I love the art gallery in New South Wales. It ain't the NGV.
Okay.
So
3-0. 3-0. It is what it is. But look, who cares? I personally don't care about the arts that much.
I don't care either. I actually think that one's closer than people give it credit for. Because I think Sydney's we're just not in it enough. I think if you're in it, you'll find things to in that space in Sydney.
Does music have a shout in any of this at all? Does it sway the needle at all? Or is it all the same? Do all the big artists go to Melbourne?
I think that if they come to Sydney, they come to Melbourne and Sydney, very few will go just one and not the other.
Melbourne 3-0. We move.
Right, next one we have fashion.
I have a strong take here. I think Sydney fashion is pretty homogenous.
What is it then, if it's homogenous?
As in, more like if you saw someone, you wouldn't be able to be like, oh, that's a Surrey Hills person. That's a Double Bay person. That's a Balmain person. Whereas because I'm talking about in the city, right? When everyone comes together, you wouldn't be able to pick where they're from. When I say it's homogenous, you go out on a Friday night, it's
there's nothing distinct.
There's nothing, right? Every other guy is wearing chinos, RMs, a button-up shirt. I'm wearing chinos, RMs, and a button-up shirt. You go out to the shopping center, on a hot day, shorts, t-shirt, shoes. It's the standard, right? I'm not saying it's bad. It's just there. Melbourne, I think you walk in the city. It's on a weekend, right? Not on a weekday when people are working, but when on a weekend, Fitzroy person, South Yarra person.
You're picking that?
I think, and this is me being there not for that long. I think, and if you just go into those areas,
I think I'm picking an inner west Sydney person.
And also, Darsh says, do I even care? If it's different per sect.
Yeah, do you like it? Do you like the baggy jeans and the oversized tee?
And also, I think your base of comparison is you lived in a suburb locally.
This is true.
Where, people are less fashion, give a shit about fashion, whatever. You're comparing it to the heart of Melbourne.
I reckon there's something good about not seeing the same.
I would agree. I think that's a big plus.
It's just different, right? It doesn't matter if I appreciate it. I'm wearing the.
But how different is different?
There's the Fitzroy uniform, right?
What's the uniform?
Yeah, which is the khaki pants. Depends on the shoes. Could be the what's that? People wear hiking shoes. I'm blanking on the
Salomon?
name. Salomons, but there's a thing that people call it wearing, but it's this fashion trend wearing
hiking shoes,
those kind of
Okay.
right. So it's khakis, those, some kind of either a half sleeve button up or a t-shirt, but then with a khaki vest.
So they love their khaki in Fitzroy.
Yeah.
Okay.
South Yarra is South Yarra, to be fair, is kind of similar to our eastern suburbs, Double Bay, active wear on a Saturday morning. but like fine. But like the thing is, that's just that area. So whereas here, the activewear person could be from anywhere. Like that's fine. But like feels like no one else.
There's nothing wrong with that. We're one city, man.
South Yarra.
Cohesive.
Yeah.
We're a cohesion, man.
Look, I'm
happy to give this a draw.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, it's a personal thing, but I think Melbourne leans slightly, but I'm happy to give it a draw.
I'm backing the boys in Sydney.
Yeah, let's give it a draw.
Okay, draw.
Right, with the draw 4-1, the next one we have is friend-making abilities.
Yeah, this should be up the wheelhouse, right? You went to Melbourne knowing little to no one. I think in Sydney, it's very difficult to make friends.
I agree.
So I have made my high school friends. They're sitting in this room. I made a handful of uni friends. I really have no work friends. That's it.
But Sen, serial work friend sort of guy. He's made plenty of work friends everywhere. So is that just an indictment on us rather than Sydney?
I think like once you're in, because the thing is no one moves away for university. So everyone just sticks with the friends that they've known in high school. There's no reason to make new friends. And so people who come from like overseas or interstate, it's very hard to break in because no one's looking. Yeah,
they make friends with other people that have moved in state, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct. Like making a Sydney friend, I feel like as someone who is not from Sydney is very difficult.
Yeah. And I think that's right. I think the other tricky bit, and this is like with Sydney, a lot of people firstly stay at home longer, like as in at the family home longer because it's so expensive to move out. So like during uni, they'll make a financial decision and they'll either like move out and then work like crazy to pay it off, pay the rent, or they'll just stay at home. But this stays like even when you're working and even when people do move because of affordability, like they move broader places in Sydney. Whereas in Melbourne, I think because it's more affordable, people stay pretty close, which means that like catching up with friends, it's not a difficult thing. Like let's say you have a mate, you're living in, I don't know, Double Bay. Like if you're very, you're money bags, you're living in Double Bay and you have a mate who lives in Erskineville, like both 20 minutes from the city-ish, 25 minutes, but you're not ever going to each other's area. Like Double Bay to Erskineville is going to take you like an hour on public transport if you really wanted to go there. And it's like, whereas in Melbourne, firstly, it's all connected. So the person who's like, I'm moving out and moving to Fitzroy, moving out and moving to South Yarra, it's not ridiculous to live there. And maybe this is coming at it from a Sydney point of view. Paying like $300 a week in rent to me is nothing because in Sydney, I'm conditioned to $500. But even then, like they're earning pretty similar money. They all move out pretty close. And then everyone's super like easy to catch up, easy to do things. People aren't worried about, oh crap, it's Friday night. Like I'm having a drink with this new group of people, I got to get home, which is in the back of people's minds when they're living far away. I reckon on that, it's slightly easier. Plus, I think there's more things going on. Like this probably goes back to the culture. Like, oh, I really want to go to this art show. I really want to go to this like concert and stuff. And people are like, oh yeah, let's just get a group together and go.
You made mates?
Yeah, I made a few mates. I think initially, like I think this is just new city. Like it's tricky initially, but then. And I think people are more willing to introduce, maybe this is just I've met the right people and I'm lucky, but like you meet one mate. I feel like in Sydney, the problem is not just making mates initially, but people tend to like, or can like not want to share their friends a bit.
Is that a thing? You mean like introduce to the wider group? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like let's say I met you, right? Like you have a bunch of friends. Imagine I'm new to Sydney. I met you. It feels like there might.
So you feel like you might be my friend, but you're not Rohit and Sen's friend. You're not Kush's friend.
Yeah.
You're my friend on a separate basis.
Exactly. You would have to be a very unique person to do that. Whereas, at least in my experience in Melbourne, it's like, oh, I'm your friend. Oh, I'll introduce you to my friends. And then potentially, if once you get close to the person in that group or people in that group, oh, I'll introduce you to my friends. Because people aren't.
So compounds, but people gatekeep here a bit more.
I think so.
When was the last time that I introduced someone to my friends? That's not like your mate's significant other or anything like that, right? Like just a platonic friend.
But step one is a problem for me. I'm not even at step one of having this new person to be able to introduce.
Yeah, okay.
Like work friends, I just chuck in our group every.
Well, I met one of your friends once.
Yeah, I just brought him along.
He
man.
Stole $1,000 off me.
Hey.
What? He made me invest in some random crypto.
That's your fault, mate.
And so you just bought some sort of crypto coin off this guy.
Yeah, we were at the pub and he's like, get on this one. And I was like, this was Cryptomania.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I can't lose.
I can't lose. In fact, I did lose $1,000.
That speaks to your financial decisions rather than making friends.
Okay, so the only example I can think of is like, for example, years ago, we played OzTag.
Yeah.
I met some new people there.
Yeah.
They have become, I introduced them to our friends. We played board games with some of them.
But did you introduce them or did they? They were introduced to you, no? They were introduced to everyone at the same time, weren't they?
Yeah.
Through OzTag?
Okay.
I'm talking
but then that's 2 steps. So they got introduced to us and we introduced them to some more people. So we just great people.
Shush, none of that. None of that. But it was, is there the barrier of, because we met them through OzTag, it's like, because I'm thinking of you're just some absolutely new person coming in.
No.
Are you even getting in those circles?
Also, I should say, I've noticed a thing, like a lot more, there's this concept in Melbourne, which a lot of restaurants do, which I haven't gone to, luckily, but not luckily, like I've made friends in other ways. But like you see, someone told me about it who I met from overseas, like community dining, where like restaurants will be like, pay $30, come in, you get a meal like pasta and a glass of wine, and they'll put you with people roughly your age. Like these restaurants are facilitating people making friends. I haven't even, like it's unnatural.
It's very unnatural because like, I think to your point, Migs, making friends is through your hobbies, essentially. So if you went to Melbourne, you went to join a cricket club.
Yeah.
And you may have made some mates at the cricket club if they were not communists, potentially. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If I moved to a different city, I would do the same thing. I'd find a local club. I'd find and play sport with them. I would become friends with the sport people because, you have to, and hope that they would introduce me to their friends in some sort of social event. Like that's, I think, the trajectory of a friend. But I think like in Sydney, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't happen as often.
Like our football team, for example, right? We joined last year.
Yep.
Like you knew most of the guys, Loki. I kind of didn't.
Yep.
I got introduced to them.
Would you say you're friends?
I'm not going to say I'm friends, but like,
thing. I think that's the difference. Like, let's say I joined a cricket team, right? Great blokes, to be clear, despite the communist affiliation. No, but like even some of them, like for example, some of them were like, "Oh, you obviously play cricket. You're interested in cricket. Would you want to go to watch the cricket together?"
Yeah,
which is like a step. Like I know you, and we could just easily just see each other, once a week when we play cricket, and that could be actually like a very fine friendship. But to be like, oh,
agreed.
Like you're in, you're new.
It has to transcend.
Yeah, you're new.
The initial spot,
and I'm happy to. Why don't you join me and my mates who might not be in the cricket team, to go watch. And then it's equally then, you're at the cricket and you're like, oh, I'm in Melbourne. I want to go to the tennis. Oh, when you go to the tennis, let me know. Like, I'd love to come.
That's beautiful. So simple.
Yeah. I think sport's a good one, but this is what I think people are more willing to like take it beyond the activity, even in activities. And then there's, I think, a culture of like,
introducing.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you, Manny, happy to say Melbourne?
I'm not sold on either way, so yeah, I'm happy to.
All right, let's move.
Slight win, yeah.
All right, next one we have water features.
Oh, I mean, please.
Yeah. I mean.
So any body of water, we're talking Sydney Harbour, Darling Harbour, Bondi Beach, Manly Beach, Strathfield Fountain versus
the Yarra.
The Yarra. That's
really
it.
The Yarra.
And the Yarra, like
St Kilda Beach.
When I order a Brighton Beach.
Yeah, there are like other beaches, but then like if you're going to compare, then you're going to get every beach in Sydney, Manly, Central Coast, all of them. Like,
I mean, this is a no-brainer. I was actually shocked when I first went to Melbourne and I saw the Yarra. I had heard big things about the Yarra. I saw it. It was brown and there was lime scooters in there. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, riddle me that.
The only thing that I
here we go. Go on.
Just for devil's advocate,
please.
Our water bodies in Sydney, you can't walk on them, over them.
But
right?
Yeah.
I guess you definitely can walk over the harbour bridge.
You can
watch Never mind.
This is, look, literally any body of water, random body of water. Yeah. The pond near my house, Bella Vista Lake, potentially.
Beats
the Yarra. So tough luck.
Yeah.
We'll get Sydney on board for something. Please,
No, I think that's right.
Right, finally, we've got one. We're 5-2 down, Ro. We've got the last category. Only worth 1 point, but we'll still have a yarn. Casinos.
All right.
So we've got, in Sydney, we've got the Star.
Correct.
And we've got the Crown.
Are you allowed to gamble at the Crown?
We're talking about Crown Sydney?
Crown Sydney.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so.
Not us.
Yeah, not us. I think it's a high rollers only.
And then in Melbourne, we have the infamous Crown.
Big Crown.
The Crown.
You live in South Bank?
Yep.
Live a stone's throw from
steps away.
Yes.
When I say to your house,
steps away.
I literally walked 50 meters from the casino to your house.
Yeah. You did that journey multiple times from memory.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
woke you up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Look, the Star to me is a derelict.
It is the quintessential area of degeneracy for me.
It is far away. And what I'm really upset about is that the minimum spent on a blackjack table is $25. That is a lot of money for me personally. That does not, align with my risk appetite. I would prefer a $5 table potentially.
I have a love-hate relationship with both the Star and the Crown.
I've also won more money at the Crown Melbourne. So Star Sydney, the first ever time I went gambling, I won. And then the rest of the time, which to be fair hasn't been a lot.
What coincidence.
I lost. Crown Melbourne, been there 3 times, won 3 times. So there's a bit more lucky vibes at the Crown in my opinion.
The casino itself, like the building, the
architecture.
No. Like the complex, right?
Okay.
Crown, far better in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like the Star is, you're right. Firstly, it's out of the way. So it's like, you can't just stumble on the Star. Like you have to actively how are we going to get to the Star? We're going to end our night at the Star, whatever. Crown, very close to the city. Literally a 10-minute walk.
Or a tram.
Free
tram.
Yeah. So the Crown, restaurants, all that stuff, far better. But the casino itself, I have mixed views because the Star feels homely to me. It's where I learned to love gambling.
You picked up Sickbo, you picked up Casino War, you picked up
I also
Spin the Wheel.
I also think this is maybe the degenerate gambler in me. The fact of it being far away means the people who are going are also degenerate. But degenerate in the way that they know. There's no casuals.
Yeah.
Whereas the Crown, casuals galore. And I'm not saying I'm okay with casuals every now and then. I'm not okay with people just ruining the game because
how would a casual ruin a game, bro?
For example, a roulette spin.
Yeah.
Right? They'll hit the person will say no more bets. And you kind of know when they're about to say it because it's when the ball starts slowing down. People are trying to do the casual, trying to do the maths on, it slows down there, it goes around 4.5 spins and they'll just start throwing money on. But the problem is sometimes, and it's happened once, firstly, if the dealer's good and aware, they'll take away those chips. Problem is if they've got blank $5 chips, you don't know, then you lose track. And if they put heaps on, so then either it invalidates the spin or if they're if someone hits, they'll argue.
Yeah.
But then they get the camera team out.
Yeah, the pit boss.
The pit boss. Down. And I'm now spending 17 minutes to spin because of this casual.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I want the degenerates who at least know the rules.
They know the rules.
They know the rules.
But the casuals bring the joy to the game, man.
Yeah, they also, you see the quick decline though with the casual sometimes.
I would agree. I think the Star, you're right, is a better casino. To be honest.
Yeah.
The Crown, I don't know. It's something about it, the carpets and stuff, bit smelly.
I also think the Crown is actually a bit too big and it feels empty. It doesn't have that hum. You ever go to
are we romanticizing the Star?
Yeah. Well, you ever go to a sport game?
Yeah.
Right. For example, you go to the MCG or the SCG, right? Huge stadiums. And there's 20,000 people. Even if there's 30,000 people, it feels empty. Right? You go to a small stadium that's 20,000 capacity and it's 20,000. There's a hum. There's an energy there. I'm getting that energy at the Star.
I'm getting lines at the Star.
You are getting lines at the Star, brother.
A Crown, I'm walking in, no lines. Star, I'm literally waiting in line, getting offered to buy light narcotics, every 5 minutes. My friend, by the way, dude, crazy story. My friend recently told me that he made $150,000 selling vapes at the casino for 2 years.
That's nuts.
There's a class business module.
At the Star.
So it's ripe for business.
Ripe for entrepreneurship. Yeah. He would come in and then in his backpack, he would have just a stack of vapes and then he would sell each vape for $60. And because these degenerates are so focused on the tables, they don't want to get up, but they want to smoke because they've been drinking. So they just buy it off him. And he's got the little square thing and everything, dude.
That's wild.
It's a whole operation.
Going back to it, I think, look, Crown better, but if we're talking about the casino itself, I don't know, I have a love for the Star that I think
It can't be beat.
Can't be beat.
I would go Crown, but if it's 2v1,
I'm going Star.
the Star takes it.
Yeah.
Lovely. So that leaves us at, what's the score?
5-3.
5-3. Done well. We're off to a horrible start. Does that mean Melbourne is a better city than Sydney? Is that what we're saying?
I think that's not a controversial opinion.
This is the thing. If you're born in Sydney, you probably won't move to Melbourne. If you're born in Melbourne, you probably won't move to Sydney. But I think it's, if someone's coming to Australia and they're doing these categories, and even if you put in 10 more categories, I reckon Melbourne's winning on the pros and cons list.